Hello everyone, in this video we'll be talking about coordination and subordination. It'll be a rather short video in comparison to the other ones. Coordination is carried out by means of the thumb boys. Probably you remember conjunctions. These are the seven that we have, and but and or are three of the most common ones. So and expresses addition, okay? And it's used in between words, in between phrases, as you can see in the first three examples, and in between clauses. Start taking a look at punctuation as well, okay? Then, but expresses contrast. It's mainly used in between clauses rather than phrases. But as you can see in the examples, it can perfectly be used in phrases as well. Or expresses alternative. In the case of alternative, we can use this conjunction either in between phrases or in between clauses, as in the last two examples. And as you can see here, there's coordination within coordination. Then there are some correlative coordinators, which are extended versions of the simple coordinators. Both and, either or, not only but also, neither nor. So what coordination basically does is to put one element next to the other one at the same level. Correct coordinators work the same way coordinators do, okay? It's just that we have an extra element. And correlative coordinators are pretty much used in writing. I advise you to start including them. Try to have a go to this short activity. Use a correlative coordinator to coordinate, okay, the elements that we have in this sample sentences. You might stop the video here and then continue and check your answers. So if you use these correlative coordinators correctly, you are good to go in your writings. Now, this is the punctuation, basic punctuation that we use for coordination. If we don't have coordination, we just have one sentence starting with a capital letter, finishing with a period, and that's it. Then we have another sentence that starts with a capital letter, finishes in a period, and that's it. No coordination. But what happens if we decide to use a coordinator? We're going to have clause one, that is, we have a verb here, phrases centered around the verb. Then we have a comma, then we have a space, and we have and, the coordinator, and then we have the other clause. Second clause, clause one, clause two, all right? We might choose not to use a coordinator, but still want to coordinate or to have two elements at the same level. Then we don't use a period because that will be starting another sentence, and we have only one long sentence and the clauses are separated by a semicolon. We start our sentence with a capital letter and finish with a period here, okay? Two clauses that make up one sentence. Finally, what happens if we use a coordinator, but my subject is the same? I want to stay home and I want to relax in front of the TV. Then we can elide the comma, okay? We don't need a comma. We just have the coordinator here and something here that is not, but it's carried out from the previous clause, which is I want to, okay? So same subject, no need to put the comma before the coordinator. Now, subordination is a bit more difficult because to subordinate means to make something depend on something else. Okay, so these are the most common subordinators that you will find. There are some others, but these are the ones that we'll be working with mostly. And remember that subordination, whenever we have subordination, we should have a clause. It happens in between clauses. Okay, we should have a clause that starts with one of the subordinators, and then we have another clause which is the independent one. So the clause that starts with a subordinator, if provided that once f, okay, the clause that starts with a subordinator is the one that depends on the other one, the previous one or the following one, okay, depending on where it is, of course. And the one that doesn't carry the subordinator should be a clause that expresses either tense or modality. Okay, we cannot have two clauses with subordinator because then we wouldn't have a complete sentence. That is a stretch of language that starts with a capital letter and finishes with a period and contains an independent clause. So independent clauses will have or will express either tense or modality, and subordinated clauses can express tense, but they have a subordinator. Yeah. Then we'll see other ways of subordinating. Punctuation for subordination is rather simple. If we start with the independent clause and then we have the subordinated one, you don't need to put any punctuation mark. But if we start the other way with the dependent one, the subordinated one, then we have a comma at the end of it, and then we have the independent clause. We'll be practicing this in a quiz, and you can share the answers to the exercise I suggested in the video in the forum.